To give an update on the Ahmaud Arbery case. Of course, that is the case of the lynching in Georgia, where these McMichaels, or as I like to call them, the McClans, we're now learning that they chased Arbery a lot longer than you think. In fact, new revelations in this preliminary hearing are saying that Arbery was running away from this car, and he was actually hit with the vehicle at one point, and he had to hide in a ditch to try to get away from these guys, and that going after their gun was a last-ditch effort him to save his life. But it gets even worse, folks, because Roddy, the guy that has also been charged with murder, who videotaped this lynching, told police, this is really tough to even say, Roddy told police that the McMichael son, literally seconds after he shot Ahmaud Arbery, seconds after Arbery was on the ground, taking his last breaths, Travis McMichael said, "You effing Nword," after shooting Ahmaud Arbery. Now, keep in mind, this isn't a witness. This isn't an innocent bystander. This is one of the men that was there who recorded the video, who was friends with the McMichaels, who was also charged with murder. Now, why would he lie and say something like that? He's not. He's telling the truth. After shooting this kid dead and murdering him, he called him the N-word. Mark my words, folks, that is not going to help Travis McMichael. And the fact that that is what is going through this kid's head moments after he shoots him shows premeditation. Without question, premeditated murder. So I believe it is very clear in my mind that Travis McMichael could get life without parole.
And it's so much worse than that, Brian, and it doesn't actually surprise me at all when you learn some other details. Body camera footage shows that there was a Confederate flag sticker on a toolbox in McMichael's truck. On cross-examination, Roddy Bryan, the co-conspirator, mentioned that Travis McMichael once on social media talked about loving his job because there weren't any N-words there. He also replied to an Instagram message that things would get better if someone had blown an N-word's head off. So it's a pattern. These guys, it's safe to say, are racist. The fact that he stood over him and called him an effing N-word as he took his last breaths is probably not all that surprising as you start to learn more about these guys' pasts.
It's you can't defend it. Now, I'm sure that the McMichaels will lie. And I'm sure that they will say that that's not the case. It never happened, and it's character assassination. But, we're learning through one of the attorneys that Arbery did everything he could to escape, to try to save his own life. That Arbery was doing everything he can to get away from these guys. This wasn't a situation where everything happened in a few seconds and, Arbery, he shouldn't have confronted the McMichaels. That is exactly what did not happen. This was a car chase that lasted a lot longer than everybody thought. The poor kid, and yes, I get it, he brought a gun to school, he shoplifted. This guy never did anything violent in his life. He was not a violent criminal. Did he make some mistakes in his life? Maybe he wasn't the most intelligent kid. I guess that's possible, but that has nothing to do with this. Yes, he shoplifted. Okay, he shoplifted. Didn't mean he deserved to die and get lynched and murdered. He never physically harmed anybody. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. He didn't commit an armed robbery. Oh, yeah, by the way, George Floyd did. We're going to get to that coming up here in a little bit. This kid did not deserve this. And he tried, and what pains me more than anything about this whole situation is that there are a lot of other McMichaels out there. I know it because I've seen it and I've heard it. There are other McMichaels out there. There are other people out there that constantly call African Americans the N-word. There are ignorant people out there that if they had an opportunity, they would chase down a black person and probably kill them. That is what makes this so sad. But for Arbery, what we learned in this preliminary hearing is probably what we already knew, right? The McMichaels were a bunch of racists. This guy Roddy was a racist. But can you imagine? Just think for a second, guys. Forget about the color of skin for a second. And just think that if something happened to you tragically in the last moments of your life, You were being chased down. You were doing everything you could to hide from somebody chasing you in a car with guns. You were scared. I can't even imagine what was going through Ahmaud Arbery's head in the final moments of his life. And then after you're shot in the chest, and as many of you know, you do not die instantly when you're shot several times. You're still breathing. You're still cognizant, at least for some moments there. And there's no evidence to support the fact he died immediately. He was pronounced dead at the hospital, by the way. And in the last moments of Ahmaud Arbery's life, as he had these horrendous murderers, racist, Klan members, whatever you want to call them, standing over his body, in the last moments of his life, he was called the Nword.
And none of the men dialed 911. That came out in the preliminary hearing as well. So, again, more evidence that this was, as you say, a lynching. They took the law into their own hands. Not one night. If they really thought this guy was burglarizing homes, you call 911, right?
By the way, in the preliminary hearing,
even George Zimmerman called 911.
In the preliminary hearing, the prosecution said there is zero evidence to back up the McMichaels' claims that they even saw him committing any type of crime, and that he didn't commit it. He wasn't committing any type of crime.
And George Zimmerman was neighborhood watch. These guys took it upon themselves to become their own neighborhood watch, but they did it specific to race.
I've never tried to defend George Zimmerman, but
now,
that is completely.
Do you think that it was planned out with all three of them, or how do you think Roddy was there at the exact time?
I guess they called out to Roddy. They called out to him. He got in his car and he joined the chase.
It's not too difficult to figure it out. I think the son was frustrated. He's a dope that somebody might have stolen a weapon in his car. By the way, we still don't know if that's true or not. He could be, But I think they're racist. Well, I don't think. I know. All three of these men are racist.
Well, it's very clear that Travis McMichael is a documented racist.
Well, it's not just Travis. It's documented that the other two are racist as well, based on their behavior. All three of them, just on this murder. Forget about if they lived a perfect life before this. Just based on this murder alone, all three of them are racist. I think it was just one of those situations where they're opportunists. They had an opportunity to do something to an African American, and unfortunately, what they did was they murdered him. And now they're going to be in jail for a very, very long time. We have three less racist dopes in society. I think that is a good thing. Sadly, we lost an innocent African American man who was doing nothing wrong. Was not breaking the law. Was he perfect? No. But he wasn't a lifelong criminal. He didn't have a violent criminal background past. And even if he did, by the way, it wouldn't justify what took place because he wasn't committing a crime that day. And I'm sick of it. I'm sick of these racist pigs that go out there thinking that they're vigilantes and they can do whatever the hell they want because they're white. And that's exactly what the McMichaels did, and this doofus, Roddy, who can't even, by the way, put a sentence together. These three are so dumb.
Remember his lawyer? My man is but a simple
was.
Mechanic with a fifth-grade education.
Yeah, well, he's simple. We agree on that one.
Yeah.
Great defense.
So you know what? Just because you're stupid doesn't mean you kill an innocent person. There's a lot of dumb people in the world that aren't racist. There's a lot of dumb people in the world that don't commit a lynching. There's a lot of dumb people in the world that are still kind-hearted, good people. I could deal with dumb, but not this kind of dumb. And nobody should be condoning that, and I don't think anybody is, except for maybe their defense attorneys.
I can almost guarantee you that when they pulled up in that truck, that McMichael yelled something at him. He probably yelled a racial slur at him, which is why, if Ahmaud Arbery did, in fact, do a 90-degree turn and go towards them, that could be why that took place.
Well, I'm just going to go by what we...
Just based on how clearly documented racist that Travis McMichael is with the fact that he's used that word. I mean, nobody uses that word unless you are racist.
Yeah, well, I mean, I tend to agree with you on that one. That's pretty obvious. But we hope they go to jail.
That word just isn't part of your vocabulary.